Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another kind of late night edition, I guess, of the Missing Wolves post-stream live stream podcast thing. I'm your host, Andrew Dukowitz from Zone Coverage, and today we got Derek from SideLine Vibes. How's it going, man?
Good. It's going great, especially after that comeback win. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, 5 in a row for the Wolves. If they didn't vomit over themselves against the Kings and the Suns, they would be the 2 seed in the West right now. Top 10 in offense and top 10 in defense. Someone's already said it in the chat. Wolves back. I mean, what else can you say, Derek?
They never left. They've always been here.
Yeah, I mean, that's tonight was a little hairy. I will say it seems like the Wolves are starting to have a trend where they play like 7 or 8 minutes of the best basketball that you've ever seen and 40 minutes of it kind of culminates in a Naz Reid game-winning 3, and really, like, Naz was a huge part of why they got back into this game. I mean, Derek, how'd you feel Naz performed tonight?
I mean, this is just a classic Naz Reid game, as Brandon Beck would say it best. Right when you need him the most, the Naz Reid 3, nothing hits better than that. But yeah, that was a typical Wolves performance, I would say, coming out. Finch said a post game in the presser, like, we just got to figure out ways to kind of come out and be more serious. I think that's just kind of been our MO for this season, especially against teams that we think that we're going to just kind of roll over. But not like guys off the bench. Naz, Clark comes in, huge spark off the bench, and of course we have the Jaden McDaniels. Is he part of the big three? Is he part of the big three now?
I think if you ask my opinion, like, I think he is definitely a part of it. I mean, he's their best perimeter defender. He's rebounding better this year. He's making better decisions this year. And on a night like tonight, where it just, I mean, this game could have gotten super far out of hand in the first half, and Jaden just kind of put his head down and did what he needed to do to keep them at least competitive. I mean, you've been a Wolves fan forever. Like, how satisfying is it to see like a prospect like Jaden just finally kind of turn out? Because I feel like it was a similar, like, Wesley Johnson was the Jaden McDaniels before Jaden McDaniels, and he kind of fell flat. And Derek Williams was the Jaden McDaniels before Jaden McDaniels, and he couldn't shoot and ended up being out of the league in 6 years. And like, even Andrew Wiggins, like, first overall pick, and just kind of never hit. And now we're seeing a guy that's been here for 6 years, gotten better every year, and is, I mean, awesome. How's that feeling?
It's great, honestly. The amount of potential that Jaden had coming out was pretty high, but obviously we had a lot of kind of like baggage coming into the league, and so to see him kind of blossom, like, think about just a couple years ago, gets injured punching a wall, like,
Yeah,
how far he's came from that moment. Even it's just awesome to see a guy like that, and it takes a guy like Anthony Edwards kind of pumping him up to get him to his like full potential. And this coaching staff doing a great job in player development. Chris Hines and those guys, they've done an awesome job of kind of building confidence and into him. And he's just so good at like getting to his spots. Brandon Ant, like, that's kind of like their key, their MO this whole year is just, if I get a guy that I can, if I can beat, I'm just gonna get in my spot. And it's been awesome.
yeah, they're able to, like, Jaden tonight, like, anytime Bogdanovich was matched up on him, Harden would get matched up on him. It just seemed like he just instantly went into attack mode to get to that mid-range. And then, like, oh, by the way, he's just a 40% three-point shooter now on volume, which is
that's huge.
like, that's like one of the unbelievable things for me. It's just like Jaden McDaniels is shooting 4 or 5 threes a game now, and at 40%. Like, I never saw that coming. I never really saw the mid-range coming. But I mean, if this is just who Jaden is now, I mean, I'll ask you the same question you kind of asked me. Is he the third star on this team, or the third of a big three?
Absolutely. I think it's really cool. Like, like you said, we don't really hit on a lot of draft picks over our long Timberwolves history. So it's just really fun to see all those guys develop and kind of get to that point. But Jaden's taken a huge leap in the shooting department. And like think about like I just like keep looking back, like thinking back 2 years ago when we were in like in the playoffs. We're like, man, if Jaden could just like get that shot down, we'd be in a whole different place. And I think we finally reached that point. And so it's been fun to see.
It is like because I was kicking around doing a piece just on Jaden, which I'll probably do at some point, but I was looking back at like the small forwards they've drafted throughout their history, and like arguably the best success story was Corey Brewer. And like that's not like, again, Wiggins won a ring with Golden State, but with with Minnesota, it was a lot of just inefficient kind of garbage time buckets. And like at least Corey Brewer was on like some good Kevin Love teams and then came back and somehow scored 51 points in a game. But like it is just, I feel like at least living on Wolves Twitter, there's so much talk about just like Finch can't develop players, but it's like tonight you're seeing really three guys that are developed in-house with Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels, and Jalen Clark be kind of the big, Julius also did Julius stuff all night, but like those were like the three guys that really kind of like sealed the game for them. And it is really just a testament to like this team can develop players if they get the opportunity.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Finch talked about this too a while back, and I think it was actually on Zach Lowe's live show. How his goal is to kind of get guys in the best position that they can possibly be in, and I think how they put guys in spots, and the fans they don't love it at times because it's like, well, we gotta develop guys by playing games. And I think that they're really, really good at picking their spots. They know that like this is kind of a physical team. I don't know if Rob's going to be a good one to throw into the game right now. Clark obviously got that spot tonight, and it just it's a long process, but you see the end result, like with the guy like Jaden, the guy like Naz, how it's been. It's a long work in progress. They don't want to throw them into the fire too quickly and have things go sour. So I don't know. It's a credit to all of them, and it's been fun. It's been fun to watch.
I mean, it has been fun. I mean, John mentions it in the chat of just Jalen Clark was so fun to watch. I mean, it's funny with Jalen because he does things that remind you that he's like a very young player, despite how smart he plays sometimes. Like getting Harden on the shoulder is just like, man, James Harden's been doing that for 15 years. And then he has like the step in on Harden's three, and it's like, Jalen, like, what are we doing, man?
Yeah, you saw Conley instantly go over and be like, dude, you can't, like, you gotta. He's like, I think everyone has to get got by that at least one time while James is still here in the league.
It's like D'Lo's little swipe through thing that he does. Like it gets everyone a couple times, but then it's like, then on the other end, he's like battling for a loose ball, picks it up, gets an and one, drives off the corner, gets another and one. He gets like this weird like pick in the lane a few plays later, and it's just like, it's such a roller coaster with him sometimes. I mean, but it reminds you that like he is still a young player, and like when he isn't playing, it is because he's developing, because he makes these mistakes less, I would say.
He's kind of like, I keep talking about like a couple years ago because it's just fun to look back and see like Kyle Anderson was like Finch's like break glass in case of emergency. Like we need someone who's just going to go in there and kind of just like control the game.
And maybe punch Rudy.
And get another spark there. Whatever, however it went, sliding glass door moment, I guess. Jalen Clark is kind of like a weird version of that, where it's like, if we need some like energy, some scrappiness, a guy who's just gonna like bring a lot of juice, we're just gonna throw Jalen in there and see how it goes. And he just always comes in here and he works his butt off. So it's just fun.
It's just wild with Jalen. And Godfrey mentions Corey Brewer, best Wolves dunk of all time. I mean, I'm personally pretty partial to the Ant one over against Utah, but Corey Brewers is up there. I'll give you that.
I recently saw a montage of every Kevin Love, just like, you know how he just would get it and just like full
Yeah.
court.
Mm-hmm.
Every
It was
time it's
always
Corey Brewer. There was one time I think he caught it and like took like 15 steps and dunked it, and they didn't call it travel. It was great.
It was always Corey Brewer, either Corey Brewer or Kevin Martin. Those were the two, which, like, man, we have come a long way. I don't know if Kevin Martin would play on this team, if I'm being completely honest.
I don't think so either.
A 20-point per game mid-range specialist that was pretty good from three, I don't think would get minutes, because tonight Dante doesn't close. They go with Mike and Jalen on defense, and then sub Jalen out for Naz on offense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked a little bit about Finch, but when I see the fire Finch hashtag going on Twitter, or like people pop in the chat and are like, Finch needs to be axed. It's like stuff like that I point to as like pushback of like, Dante is like an actual veteran in this league that has won a ring. He's been on playoff teams. He's played with Golden State, and that dude's just cool to sit on the bench for a 39-year-old point guard, or 38-year-old point guard. I mean, I guess I'll just ask, like, what's your opinion on Finch so far this season?
Oh, I love Finch. I've been kind of a huge Finch defender. I think obviously he's got the resume to back it up, and has a leash, a pretty long leash at this point. But I think a lot of fans don't see how his approach, like he just doesn't have a very like aggressive approach to coaching in games. He kind of lets the players feel the game out. It's like, we're gonna make a halftime adjustment, and they make those halftime adjustments. You just can't, like, if you're not somebody who is like really focused on it, you don't really see it. Like tonight, pick and rolls. They got a lot of stuff in that mid range, and the Clippers are really good in that mid range. They got Kawhi. They just live in that mid range, and they just decided, okay, Rudy, you're gonna have to come up and take that a little bit higher. And that little adjustment, they were able to get through the screens a little bit better. Offensively, they're like, God, just move the ball. I think Micah said it at halftime. It's like, just get the ball moving. And like Finch, like I said earlier, like they putting guys in positions to succeed. He is, if not top 5, the best coach in the league at doing that, because Dante, and making sure the guys are bought in and not bad body language when they come out. They all understand that their role, and he explains that to them. Like, this is just not a game for you. Like, this, how many times has Rudy not played at the end of the game? How many times has Randall not played at the end of the game? And like Dante, Julius
missed like 4 straight minutes in the fourth tonight.
Yeah.
Like, sure, he was resting, but also
there's times Ant,
like, Julius is a guy that wants to play. Like, Ant didn't check in until like the 6-minute mark. Like, it's so interesting with Finch, because like, I do think like he's so good at managing these guys, like buy-in and chemistry and all of that stuff, that like, I mean, even look at Rob, right? Like, Rob could be toxic on a team right now. 8th overall pick, never really has gotten a shot in 18 months of playing professional basketball, and Finch can just still get him bought in to where that guy's comfortable playing 7 minutes a night and just trying to improve. Which, I mean, honestly, like he was fine tonight, and then he doesn't play the entire second half, which, again, it's just his ability to just get this buy-in where these players just show up when they're needed. Maybe none more so than the kind of 2 old men on this team, of just Joe Ingles, our inbound specialist, coming out to Travis Scott Fiend, which I did ask him in passing in the locker room. I'm like, is that going to be your like closing pitcher walkout? And he's like, this isn't baseball. It's like, all right, sorry, Joe.
We should get like a Duran. I miss Duran a lot for the Twins, but like we should get a Duran light show when Joe Ingles is about to check in, like turn off all the lights, flames. Can we get a whole thing going? That'd be great.
The guy doesn't make mistakes. Like, he might not be able to run very fast anymore, but like the dude can throw an inbound. Cause I'm not gonna lie, like I was sitting I had Chris Hine next to me, and like, I'm like counting in my head of like 1, 2, and then like out loud, I'm like, you don't have a timeout. And then he like whips it to Jaden, and it's perfect. And it's like, okay, whatever. But the other guy, I mean, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh no. Well, finish your thought.
It's funny too. It's like when you weren't listening to probably broadcast. Like Grady was great with like he was like setting it up like a closer was coming in. It was so awesome. But like honestly, like every guy has a role on that team, and like his role is even bigger than that. Like even helping the young guys develop too is part of his role, helping kind of be the vibes guy for this team, ultimate vibes guy.
I mean, it's. I think last year in the playoffs it got blown up quite a bit of just like, you know, during the regular season, they're not running full practices with scout teams and stuff like that. But like, you know, against New Orleans, they're playing 2 games back to back. Like they probably have a scout game or someone like watching film, and like Joe can do that. Joe can go in there and make the similar reads that like a Luka would make because they just like see the game the same. Again, not even close to as athletic or like talented, but you know, it is something to have a guy like that like can kind of simulate anyone you're going to play in practice. And then he's also just awesome. Like he's good in film rooms. He's good in practice. He keeps everything light. I don't think he's afraid to call anyone out. Like you kind of need those guys.
Yeah, you definitely do. And I think this team, I think I've thought this before too, is we don't really have like Kyle Anderson. Wow, can't believe I'm bringing him up so much tonight.
We could use a Kyle. If Kyle Anderson is a free agent in a couple months, like that might be the play.
we kind of missed that like guy who would get, because he was on the team where we just like we'd go on these huge streaks of wins, and I think he was a guy the lock-in guy. Whereas we have like Joe's a lock-in guy, Mike is, but they're just like a different Rudy, but they're just like their approach is a lot differently. Like it just sometimes they need to hear it, sometimes the players need to hear it from each other, and it's just finding that right, like those guys extremely valuable at the end of the bench. And I think there's a lot of like, why are we signing Joe? It's like those guys are so valuable. And obviously Tim thought that as well, and so did the rest of the staff. So it's good to see him get his flowers every now and then.
Godfrey says Finch saying the right thing at halftime the last 4 games. Yeah, I mean the Wolves just kind of messing around and then just putting the gas on in the 3rd or 4th quarter has been fun to watch. Derek, I'm going to throw us over to a quick ad read here. When we get back, though, as StreamYard randomly puts a comment up on the screen, apparently live viewer comments show up on StreamYard, everybody.
Wow.
But we're going to do ad reads. When we come back, we'll chat a little bit more. I also want to get into kind of, you know, where this team stands in the grand scheme of things, because we're a quarter of the way through the season. Like we have sample sizes now, but first ad reads. Well, hello. Thank you, live stream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read, this time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. Oof, that's the first time in a while it cut off the .com. The unders win, I guess, for wherever that is being booked in Vegas. But Derek, I mean, again, we're far enough into the season now, you know, 15-8. This is, I think Alan Horton tweeted it out. This is the 4th best start in franchise history. Now that all the games have closed, they're officially a game behind the Rockets for the 2 seed. I mean, obviously Oklahoma City is the team to beat. Like I think you have a class A of Oklahoma City and then a giant gap before you get to anyone else. But like how good is this Wolves team? Like, is this a Wolves team that you feel confident could at least, make it a series?
Yeah, I mean, shameless plug here. I did just put out a video today on our channel at SideLine Vibes. I do a quarterly report, and I just did answer the question: are the Wolves a contender this year? I think yes, and statistically, kind of backs it up. And looking at all the stats, the kind of the main stats that um, equate to winning in my eyes, I think a lot of that stuff is backed up. Our offense has gotten a lot better. And I think that was the focus in the offseason was we have to shift our identity from a defensive team to an offensive team and at least be a little bit more balanced in that way. And I think that defense started off really, really rough as they were trying to
Yeah.
they were trying a lot of new things that little adjustments that they just needed time to kind of figure out. And so uh you can kind of see it start coming together on that end of the floor. But their main thing is just kind of trying to create turnovers. They're one of the best teams in the league at creating those turnovers, and it's kind of an underrated thing in this year for them. But altogether, like I think this is a team that could really make a run, and especially make a run potentially beating OKC. I know that's crazy to say, but you watch that game that they played in the cup game. It's like you are a couple mistakes away from a couple less mistakes away from knocking off that team in a crucial cup game. But I don't know.
I mean, they're 3.5 minutes away from being 17-6 and a game ahead of the 2 seed for in the West. And it's a Western Conference that's loaded. I mean, this is still a West that is ridiculous right now. And like, yes, the pushback is always, the Wolves haven't really played a killer's row of schedule, and the games that they did play against good teams, like they lost 2 to Denver, they lost the LA game when Doncic was playing, they lost to Phoenix, even though that one was kind of like a statistical anomaly that they even lost that game. But like, I kind of agree with you. I feel pretty similar to how I felt at the beginning of the season. It's a little disheartening that like they still do that thing where they just don't play good basketball for like 18 minutes at a time. But like, I still think this team's probably going to be 2, 3, or 4 and have a home court like first round in the playoffs, which it feels like this season has been going on forever, and
Yeah.
like it really hasn't. And to your point, like, think of like the defense at the beginning of the season where it's like if Rudy Gobert wasn't playing, their defensive rating was like in the 170s. The offense has been awesome at times. Like when they're moving it and they actually have it going, like it's an elite offense. And the defense is now in the top 10, which again, for how bad they were at the beginning, like how impressive is it that they've been able to just kind of figure this out and lock in on the fly?
I think again, like it's coaching. It's coaching.
Yeah.
And if you don't think if you don't think that Finch is a good coach, that's just like silly at this point. I don't know what else to say. Like maybe everyone has an opinion, but like I don't know. I just think it's just ridiculous because you see that stuff, like the adjustments that are made. That I think a lot of things that he did. I'm not in the locker room. You're in the locker room more than I am, but like I just like I love basketball. I watch it. I coach it, so like I see the things that they do. Non-Rudy lineups. They decided to start just like mostly switching everything, and it's made a huge difference. And being like really in the gaps and on that when they play like that. So it makes it's super helpful for them because the communication part of getting back is just kind of a tough for that group with Randall out there. And then they also just that zone that they started using with Jaden at the 5 has been really, really, really productive for them. And
That's one of those things I feel like you put it in a chest and don't show it again until playoffs. Like that's
you might need to hide that thing.
Don't let any film get out on Jaden playing the 5 in his zone, but continue.
Yeah, no, it's just goes to show that like the players are coachable and the coaches are finding ways to put them in the best spots. And that's just kind of how it is with the roster construction. I know people also want to be like, why didn't we just trade for all these guys that can fit into what we kind of want to do? It's like, I think it's just what it is. We want to play a certain way, and this is it.
Yeah, and John brings it up of Finch has made adjustments and is trusting Clark more at the end of the game and giving him minutes, which tonight, like, I point to these moments of just like Dante DiVincenzo, the guy that is starting for you and has been on a championship, has been on a Warriors Steph team, has been to the Eastern Conference Finals with the Knicks. You just aren't playing him almost the entire. I don't think he played in the fourth quarter, and you went Mike and Jalen. Like that's coaching. Like you don't get a guy like Dante to buy into something like that if you're not doing something right. And then to your point, like, I mean, how many times have we been asking for the last couple of years of Finch, why don't you ever run his zone? And it's like he's doing it this year, and it's awesome. So
yeah. And with the Clark DiVincenzo thing, tonight's like another good example of just the matchup situation.
Yeah.
Dante I would say, is not like an incredible on-ball defender. He works his butt off, but like Jalen is better against like the shifty guards, like a Harden. Why am I blanking his name?
Like Shea, he's good at Shea.
Yeah,
he's
Shea,
traditionally been good at like Brunson. Like I agree with you.
Yes.
Like Clark is a on-ball menace, but he's also really good off-ball. Like he's really good at just kind of like picking off those passes. But
yeah,
it's
100% a game for him tonight too. We just needed needed like a little scrappy.
Yep. Which, like, it's so interesting that he's that guy because, like, he's also the nicest human being on the planet. Like, he's just driving down to Treasure Island to play bingo with like tribal elders in his free time.
I love that so much.
The dude's just a really nice guy, but then you watch him play and it's like it would just suck to play against him. Like it looks like it would hurt to play against Jalen Clark.
He's built like a football player. It's insane.
Yeah. Which it's also interesting because he like talks about like how over the last couple off seasons he's been watching like D-back film to see how like they hide pass interference so that he can like hide his hands on defense, and it's just he's such an interest. Like I'm so glad that he's becoming like a staple in this rotation, which I think that does kind of numb a little bit of the Nickeil stuff because Nickeil is just kind of torching in Atlanta right now, but at least like Jalen's been playing really good. You know, I do kind of want to close just getting your thoughts on Mike Conley because it's another night tonight where like you look at his counting stats and it doesn't look like he had much of an impact, but he's plus 14. He, you know, makes the swing pass to Naz and that crucial game winner. And like, I don't know. I asked Finch about it after the game, and Finch is just like, he's huge. Like we are better with Mike Conley on the court. He's smart. He doesn't make mistakes. I mean, what is it with Mike Conley that just he keeps doing this?
It's I think our team is kind of like an embodiment of the vibe of Mike Conley. In a way, it's like cool, calm, collected, but like an absolute dog. Like he'll do anything. He'll scrap it up. He's not the biggest guy, but he'll be in the mix. And I think he's just constantly doing the right things and knowing when to kind of just push the right buttons to make plays. He's always just thinking of how can we make the play? How can we make the best play? You can just see that when he's playing like extra passes. He could probably take a lot more shots for us.
Yeah.
It'd still be pretty productive, but it's like he understands the fact that there's guys that we need to get going, and understanding who's hot, who's got the hot hand. Naz, like that was his night for that. So yeah, Mike's another break glass in case of emergency. Even though there's a lot of people out there who say we got to move on from Mike. He's getting too old. He's too washed. Just gotta watch the games, see all the little things that he does. There might be some games that he doesn't have it, and it just seems like those are the ones that people are like, he needs to retire.
I mean, I think what's tough is like, and I mean, Mike even said it like after the season last year, like his body feels pretty good when he's playing 15 minutes a night. Like I don't think he can physically play 30 something minutes. Like I don't know how he can even play 15 minutes. Like, he obviously keeps himself in great shape. Like, he's a world-class athlete. He does all the right things. Like, he knows when to take plays off and when not to, which I think is important at his age. But like, man, those 15 minutes when he plays, the team is just always better. Like, just
Mm-hmm.
always.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
you mentioned you coach basketball, and
Yeah.
I know you coach like younger kids, not like 19-year-old AAU traveling circuits or
No, yeah, I
16-year-old
don't.
AAU
Yeah.
traveling circuits. But like, how important is it to just have like a point guard, even when you're coaching? Because I feel like so much of it now is best player gets the ball, everyone else just kind of gets out of the way. But I mean, there is something to just having like that good old fashioned point guard.
Absolutely. And I think part of it is one, getting the offense in the right spot. They're kind of just like the core. I hate to use like like a different sport term, but it's like quarterback. This is like an
Yeah.
old term that just everyone. They're the quarterback of the offense. If like, you don't have a true point guard out there that like really understands, the flow of the game just doesn't really work.
Mhm.
It's like Conley constantly. I don't like if you catch it, if you're watching like on the court, like anytime it's like a dead ball, he's communicating to the guy, "Hey, go this corner. We're gonna run whatever action, and we're gonna get you a look." Like, he is already thinking of that stuff a lot faster than any of the guys on the court. It's like if you don't have a guy like that, then you don't see that efficiency in the actions. And I think, yeah, it's extremely valuable to have like a guy that's just like can be that coach out on the court.
It's interesting. Like, I know I've said this like to death on this podcast, but like, when people like say like the Wolves need a point guard, like I feel like that's what most people mean, is like they just need 28-year-old Mike Conley, or like that just good old fashioned like Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Mike Conley, just the bygone era of point guard that can just organize. And
Mhm.
like, I feel like the only two people on this team that can actually sense that Rudy hasn't touched the ball in like 30 real minutes are like Mike Conley and like Jaden McDaniels for some reason. It
Yep. They
does
have a
the whole
sneaky
like,
good
oh, Rudy
connection.
hasn't touched it for a while. But like, I think that's what this team needs. And it's one of those things that like, regardless of what level of basketball you're at, like your team's just better when you have that like field general, floor general point guard.
Yeah. I think it's funny too, like you said, like they just need a guy, like we need a point guard. Like, everyone's been saying that. And part of why this offense is looking so good this year, like top 5 offense in the league right now,
Mhm.
it's not even because we would need a point guard. It's the fact that there's just like more decisive decision making from Anthony
Yep.
Edwards, who you look at the box score, you're like, wow, he didn't have a good game. He did a phenomenal job. Jim Pete was talking the entire game on the broadcast, like he made every single right decision you could possibly make tonight. And he would the last play of the game, Naz Reid, corner three, uh, that was all Anthony, like all Anthony. He just made all the right decisions tonight, even though he didn't get the score. They were sending all the guys, didn't shoot it very well. That's fine. Like, you made the right plays versus like I feel like last year, him and Randall would kind of sometimes be like is it your turn? Is it my turn? Is it and that's why Mike was very important for that team back then, is like, all right, we got to get some movement and some different things,
Mhm.
get you guys in the right spots. This year it's like Conley can be off the floor, and those two guys kind of have learned how to operate like Mike would. And then Jaden has adopted that. And that's part of that. Like, we went going way back to like Joe Ingles. It's like
Yeah.
everyone in the building is kind of like, when you have a good team like this and things are clicking, everything starts to just kind of gel together, even with how they play.
The decision making, I completely agree with you. Like, that is like, Julius is making decisions, even though it still feels like he just beats the ball into the ground and does a jump pass, but that jump pass is like half a second faster than it was last year. And
Hmm.
it goes to like Nas, and Nas either swings or shoot. Like, there's not a ton of this weird like Nas like dribble into the lane and then
Yeah.
jump pass it somewhere. Like, it's dribble or shoot, and it goes to Jaden, and it's either get into the mid-range or shoot. And then it goes to Dante and it's shoot or pass. And it's just everyone knows like their role and maybe like more importantly, and this probably goes back to like a Finch thing and just like they know where their outlet is, right? Like when Ant's getting doubled the second he gets across half court, he knows where he's supposed to go with it. Like there's no like, oh shoot, where is he? It's just done. And then that guy knows where to swing it. And like that might make all the difference this year, especially like when you're looking at who they could stack up against in Oklahoma City. Like Oklahoma City just thrives off of turnovers and just like blowing your offense up. If they're just making good decisions and quick decisions, like that might be their chance.
Yeah. And we were one or two kind of silly passes away from potentially winning that game too. Yeah.
Which that's the infuriating part, because at the end of the day, they're all still in their early to mid 20s and like
I made this
some of these games.
on this last episode I just did. I made a pretty bold comparison, comparing them to that kind of like the that before the big streak or the big season Golden State Warriors, how Kerr would always be complaining about or their team just not being focused night in and night out, and they'd have so many turnovers because they're just like almost bored, like just like, oh, we can turn it on at any moment because they're so young, and it's just like they just don't get it yet. And then sometimes it just takes a while, and sometimes guys are just not like wired like an OKC, like how they are all just so locked in on their role and what they're supposed to do. But yeah, it's interesting how basketball works like that.
It is like, it's weird. What do they say? Like times a squared circle or a globe, something like that. It's something about a circle, but like it is weird because I was looking at this team and like it remind like their cohesion and like buy-in reminds me a lot of like the Spurs almost, where it's just everybody is locked in. Like Boris Diaw is going to close some games over Tiago Splitter and no one cares. And you just have this like led by Tim Duncan, who is completely different than Anthony Edwards and probably every like personality wise. But like the thing that always comes back on Tim Duncan that people always say is like Popovich could coach him. Like Pop could just like blow Tim Duncan out in a meeting or blow Tony Parker out in a meeting and they would just still be bought in. And it's like, that's kind of how Ant is. So it's like, I do think at some point they will start locking in for every game. But like you're saying with the Warriors, sometimes that takes time. I mean, if the Spurs didn't kickstart their dynasty by like getting Tim Duncan and David Robinson, like maybe it would have taken more time there. But like, even if you go back into like the aisles of history, or like Tony Parker used to drive Popovich nuts. Manu used to drive Pop nuts because they would just mess around. And like, sometimes it does just take these growing pains. And when you're coming off of 2 Western Conference finals, like it does kind of make sense why they might be a little bored.
Yeah. Actually, that's probably a way better comparison because like they're also outside of basketball. It's like Ant's loud on the court, but like outside, he's pretty like reserved guy. It seems like and we're kind of all like quiet and kind of quirky in a way. Like everyone's got their little thing that they like we just talked about. Jalen's kind of really focused on like learning all this stuff. Rudy's doing Rudy stuff. Like it's just
a lot of crystals and energy readings.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. I feel like Finch kind of like has the same type of like demeanor as like Pop would, like just kind of like let the players kind of figure it out.
Pop also notoriously terrible with timeouts at the end of games because he just like got fed up a lot of times, and I think was just like, you guys figure it out.
Hey, but I tell you what, it is hard as a coach. It is hard to know when to call those timeouts. I'll tell you what, I am actually horrible at that too. So like, you just don't know. Like you're like, oh, I don't want to call timeout. So it's like they get down. Like you just kind of like, can they work through it? I want to save my timeout. There's so many things that are going through your head that you're just like, it's harder than it looks. It's harder than it looks.
What I always go back to is it's just so weird that like Finch and Cheryl Reeve, one of their through lines is just they both believe that players should just figure it out and work through it, and building like that adversity, like building up that endurance to adversity and figuring it out. Cause like someday you're not going to have a timeout. Like they both have that type of like view on it.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them just get blasted for their timeout usage. And it's like, well, I mean, they're consistent. He called it tonight.
Yep. Yeah. He always calls that like he doesn't want to lose that timeout, that third timeout. Always, every single time. I can almost call it when I go to the games. I'm like, here comes the timeout. Here comes the fish timeout. Because he loves to use that, not lose that, use it or lose it timeout. Like it's always in the middle of a transition too. Doesn't matter.
It's like a good run and like, nope, timeout.
Yep. He loves using that
thing. All right, Derek. I do want to give you the opportunity though. Anyone that comes on the show, the floor is yours. Anything you want to promote, anything you want to plug, anything on your mind you want to get off your chest. Like I say, the floor is yours, sir.
Wow. Okay. First of all, Anthony Edwards should be in the MVP conversation, especially with the stat line that he's had. I know he's missed a couple games. They need to start talking about him on ESPN.
Fair.
Okay. But this team, top 5 team, if you think Finch should be fired, stop saying that. Other than that, I'm so like, I haven't been doing this for so long. I'm so lucky to have to get to meet you, and we're so lucky to have you as someone who is one of the
too kind.
We truly are. I'm not with the amount of work that you put into things, and on top of another job and other things that you do, we're really lucky to have you guys have such a good media team. It's kind of inspired me to want to start doing stuff and on my channel, SideLine Vibes. We got a good crew, changing the narrative of Minnesota sports, thinking of positive ways to spin everything, and just focus on those things. And and I have a burner Twitter account. I just made it because I just don't want to have all my basketball tweets on my main one, because I just tweet all the time, and it's probably super annoying for people. So follow @Crunch with 2 H's if you're wanting some just random content, Timberwolves content. But yeah, good stuff.
Well,
thank you so much.
You're too kind. Anytime. We'll be having you on the show again, I think later in this month, if I remember right. I don't have my calendar up, but you will be back. And if anyone came into this late, know that this does live on forever on YouTube and on X. As soon as the live stream ends, it gets published over on YouTube. So if you can't wait until tomorrow, it is already going to be up there. And if you want something to do on a Sunday, this does come out as a podcast the following morning after every recording at 7 a.m. And we will be back Monday after the Suns game, hopefully with a better, much better ending than the historic blowout.
Can be any worse. Can be any worse, right?
9%. Yeah, it truly can't be worse. But thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you after the Suns game.
Thank you. Shout out to Naz Reid.